Hey YouTube, today we're going to do a side-by-side comparison. Not really a comparison, but I'm just going to show side-by-side two separate watches that are pretty similar in looks, and the quality is really good on both of them, but one of them is a lot higher end watch than the other one. So what we're going to be looking at here is a Rolex Submariner. This is a 116610 LN. This is the ceramic Rolex Submariner. It came out around 2011. They changed over from the previous case to this is what they call a super case. Has a ceramic bezel, a little bit wider case on it, a little bit beefier than the old one. I have a video comparing it to the older style, but it's just a regular basic run-of-the-mill Rolex stainless Submariner. And what I'm going to compare it to is this watch here. And if everybody notices, this watch doesn't have any kind of branding on it whatsoever. It says nothing on it anywhere that has any kind of brands on it. Nothing anywhere. And what this watch is a friend of mine is getting into watch repair. And he made this watch for me and gifted it to me. And I appreciate it a lot. And what this watch has in it, it has an ETA movement. And if anybody doesn't know anything about watches, ETA is a Switzerland-based company, and they're actually owned by Swatch. Swatch is a company that used to make those plastic watches in the 1980s that were real trendy amongst young kids and teenagers and stuff. They were always some kind of crazy color like green, red, orange, and stuff like that. And they were real trendy for a while. And they must have sold 1 billion of them back in the 80s. And I never personally owned one, to be honest with you. But that's you end up buying ETA. I think they bought them in the 80s or something like that, 80s or 90s. But these are high quality watch movements. And that's what he put in this. And what he did is he ordered a clone type super case. It's kind of like a Rolex. And installed this movement in it. And if you notice, there's no kind of cyclops on the date. So the date is not magnified at all. He put the Roman numeral dial on it, which I think is kind of cool looking. Put a blue bezel on it, kind of matches the blue hands and the blue Roman numerals on it. And I just think it's a really classy looking watch. Now, am I comparing it to the quality of this Rolex? No, I'm not, folks. And I'm going to have a little discussion here that I've had many times. If you wear or buy counterfeit stuff, you are a liar. If you will lie to yourself, you will lie to other people, and I don't think people like that are very trustworthy. So am I representing this to be a quote-unquote Rolex watch? No, I'm not. If you notice, this watch does not have any markings anywhere on it, any kind of branding or anything. The Rolex watch on the crown will say Rolex right here on it, and this one here doesn't have anything on it. So nobody's trying to represent this to be anything that it is. This is just a one-off diver watch that my friend gifted to me. Now, in terms of quality, I would put this watch above any, I don't know, Citizen watch or Seiko watch or something like that. It's going to be a lot higher quality watch than anything like that. I'd put it somewhere in the realm of like a Tag Heuer or something like that. I would not say this is an Omega watch or a Rolex watch or anything like that. This is going to be better than your average mid-tier watch, but it's not going to be a high-end watch. But anyway, let's look at some of the features on this. So it's a diver watch, and it has a unidirectional bezel on top. It is a ceramic bezel, just like the Rolex. And it sets the same way as a Rolex. It is supposedly watertight. I do not know how many meters it would be good to. Like I said, my friend put this thing together from scratch. He ordered an oyster style bracelet. And one of the things really cool about this, it's got a glide lock clasp on it, very similar to the ones that Rolex came out with. And you can adjust it on the fly to anywhere that you want. So, and then it's got the same type of locking clasp on it and everything like that. Now let's do a little bit of comparison here side by side. Now once again, I'm not downing stuff like this. I'm not saying this is a Rolex watch. I'm not saying it's the same kind of quality as a Rolex watch, but there is very similar traits to them. So let's look at them side by side. So immediately when you look at them, you'll notice they both have ceramic bezels on them. Now, folks, this watch is dirty. I wear this watch every day of my life. I don't care how dirty it gets. I wash it about once a month. I clean it up and everything. And right now, it is not clean. But so let's look at some of the traits. If you look at the way this thing moves, the second hand on it, the ETA movement moves almost as smooth as the Rolex. Now, what are some of the differences on it, and why would this watch here on the left cost so much more than this one on the right? Well, to start off with, on the bezel, there's going to be platinum inlay inside there. So all the numbers and everything are made from like a platinum inlay. One of the other differences is the hands on the one on the left are going to be made out of 18 karat white gold, and the one on the right is not. One of the other differences is all the numerals on this, the little rings on the outside of them, are all 18 karat gold. This one is not. On the Rolex, if you look on what they call the re-halt, you'll see the Rolex inscription all the way around. Of course, this one's not going to have anything on it because this is not a branded watch. One of the other differences is on the crown here, the crown guards are not quite as crowded as it is on this one. If you can see, you can barely get to the actual crown with your fingers, and this one's a little bit more accessible. I don't know how you can really show up on camera, but you see how you can, this crown like sticks out a little bit, and the guard just guards them a little bit. This one here is just a little crowded a little bit, but just little subtle differences. If you look at the machining on the actual bezel, this one's like a lot more refined when you look at it under magnification. I don't know how well it will show up on camera than this one will. Just little things like that. The way that the bracelet fits in here, you know, it's a little bit looser than the actual Rolex one. If you pick them up and feel them, this one's got a little bit more heft to it, and it's put together a little bit better. See, there's no movement or anything in this bracelet. And when you pick this one up, you see the bracelet moves a little bit. Just a little bit looser put together because not as much attention was paid to detail. This is a hand-built watch. See, this thing does not move at all. Doesn't wobble around or anything. This one here is a little bit more cheaply made. If you look at the clasp on them, they're very similar looking. Let me get this closed here for you so you can see. Except for the Rolex one's going to be branded Rolex, and the one that my friend made for me has no branding on it. Now, when you open this up with this got a glide lock clasp on it, like I showed you earlier. It doesn't work quite as smooth as the Rolex one, but I mean, it does work. It is serviceable. It is functional, but it's a little bit rough, like sandpaper. And when it moves in and out, listen. You can hear it move in and out. It's not like a real defined, smooth movement. If you look at the Rolex watch, everything just clicks together all nice. You open this up, and it's just real smooth. It's like it's on ball bearings. So that's just what you get when you get hand-built stuff. Of course, the inside of this thing's dirty, but you can see all the Rolex inscription on it. This one's not going to say anything on it. And it's just going to fit together a little bit looser. See right here, everything's a little bit looser on it. The Rolex, of course, is not going to have that kind of issue. There's going to be no movement whatsoever. Everything's going to be perfect on the Rolex watch. When you hold them together, you just feel this one's a little bit cheaper feeling. You don't hear any rattling or anything going on when you shake this one around. It's really hard to show on camera. So basically, I'm not downing this watch at all on the right. I'm just saying it's not comparing apples to apples when you look at the two side by side. Now, I'm glad he didn't put a Cyclops on this crystal. It is a sapphire crystal, but there is no Cyclops on it because it makes it look different. It doesn't make it look like you're trying to represent it to be something it is not. This is actually a one-of-a-kind watch. Kind of looks like a Surdy dial Rolex. It's going to have the blue bezel. Rolex didn't make a stainless Submariner with a blue bezel ever. If you ever see a true, authentic Rolex with a blue bezel on it, that's going to be white gold, and that's going to be big money. Now, one of the other differences I'm going to show you is when I go to unscrew this crown on this watch, and everything does work pretty smooth, and I pull it all the way out to the second position to set it, it does stop the movement just like a Rolex would, because this actually is a Swiss movement. Now, when I move this clockwise, the movement moves counterclockwise. So when I move it to the right, it actually decreases time. When I move it to the left, it advances the time. On a true authentic Rolex, this is one of the things that a lot of people don't know. On a 31-35 movement, when I turn this to the right, it advances the time. When I turn it to the left, it decreases the time. So kind of a neat little thing that people don't realize that about them. But that's just a difference in the way Rolex manufactures their movements and the way ETA manufactures their movements. Rolex movements are all made in-house, and ETA movements are not. You know, they buy parts from different companies and assemble them. Rolex manufactures all their parts. They refine their steel, they refine their gold, all kind of stuff. But this is just a side-by-side comparison of a watch that was gifted to me by a friend of mine. This is a really nice watch. I really do appreciate him giving this to me, and I will wear it, and I think it's a very nice watch. But there's nothing wrong with wearing a watch like this, folks, because you're not representing it to be something that you're not. If you go to New York City and go to Chinatown and buy a fake Rolex watch, you are a liar. You cannot be trusted because you're trying to represent something to be something that it's not. It's like people that buy a V6 Dodge Challenger and put a Hellcat sticker on the side or whatever you have. You know, people that go to car shows and build a kit car, a 67 Cobra. Well, it's not a 67 Cobra, folks. You're lying to the world is what you're doing. If you want a Hellcat, go buy a Hellcat. It's not a crime not to be able to afford one. Buy something you can afford, something you can be proud of, and drive it around. Same goes with the watch. There's nothing wrong with wearing this watch, and I will wear this watch proudly. I will not tell anybody, oh, that's a Rolex, or that's just as good as a Rolex. It's not just as good as a Rolex, but it is better than pretty much anything you can buy in your local mall. It's a very one-of-a-kind, unique-looking watch, and I like it a lot. Anyway, folks, if you have any questions on this or my theories on counterfeit stuff or anything like that, like I said, this is not a counterfeit watch. This is something that was made for me and given to me as a gift, and I love it. Feel free to ask. I'll answer any questions that I can. If I don't know the answers, I will find the answers for you folks. But anyway, thank you very much for watching my video, and you folks have a great day.